Hello and welcome to Fortress, Alaska. I'm your host Dave, and today we're going to talk about the history of the 9mm Luger, 9mm Parabellum, 9x19, 9mm NATO, however you wish to address it. It's this little guy right here. It is the most popular handgun cartridge in the world, and it can trace its roots all the way back to the Patron 88 or M88 rifle cartridge. The M88 rifle cartridge was the first German military cartridge to use smokeless powder. It was a rimless, bottleneck cartridge. It fired a 225 grain bullet at 2,000 feet per second with about 2,070 foot-pounds of energy. It was designed by the GBK, which I cannot say in German, which basically means the German Rifle Testing Commission. It was adopted by the German Empire in 1888 for the Gewehr 1888 service rifle. Georg Luger used the features of the M88 round to design the 7.65 by 25 millimeter Borchardt cartridge, which is the parent cartridge to the 7.65 by 21 millimeter Luger round, or 30 Luger. Anyways, I can only imagine what Georg Luger would be thinking if he knew that over 100 years later, his handgun cartridge that he designed would be the most popular service cartridge in the world, used by military, law enforcement, and private citizens as the dominant round used worldwide. Now, let's move over to the bench where I can show you the cartridges and go through some more of the history. Okay, here we are at the bench, and no, I could not find an M88 cartridge to show anyone, which is rather sad considering it's just the 8mm Mauser with a round nose bullet in it. Basically, that's what it looks like. But I do have a 7.65 by 25mm Borchardt to show you. This is the cartridge here. It was designed by Georg Luger for the Borchardt C93 pistol. It is a rimless, bottleneck cartridge using smokeless powder. It fires an 85 grain bullet at about 1,300 feet per second, which yields about 312 foot-pounds of energy. It was manufactured in Germany by DWM and in Great Britain by Eli Brothers and Kynoch. It was also manufactured in the USA by both Remington and Winchester. It is the parent cartridge for the 7.65 by 21mm Parabellum, aka the 30 Luger. The 7.65 by 21mm Parabellum, aka the 30 Luger, was in military service from 1898 until about 1970. It was introduced by DWM for the Luger pistol and was designed by Georg Luger. It is a rimless bottleneck cartridge using smokeless powder, firing a 93 grain bullet at 1,200 feet per second for about 304 foot-pounds of energy. The 7.65 by 21mm Parabellum is a shortened 7.65 by 25mm Borchardt. This was done as Georg Luger redesigned the Borchardt C93 pistol to be smaller, lighter, and less complicated, and evolved it into the Luger pistol. It was the first semi-automatic pistol cartridge to be adopted as a standard military cartridge. It was adopted by the Swiss Army in 1900 and remained in Swiss service all the way until the 1960s. The cartridge is still manufactured today and was manufactured in many European countries and the USA. The 7.65 by 21mm Parabellum, aka the 30 Luger, is the parent cartridge for the 9mm Luger. The 9x19 Parabellum, 9mm Parabellum, or 9mm Luger, was designed by Georg Luger. It was introduced in 1902 by DWM in Germany. You will often read or hear it is nothing more than a 7.65 by 21mm Parabellum that has had the mouth opened up to accept a 9mm bullet. This is not true. The 9mm Parabellum cartridge case is only 19 millimeters long, as opposed to the 21 millimeters long of the 7.65, and you can clearly see that here, that the 7.65 case is indeed longer than the 9mm Luger case. In addition, the bases of the two cases are different, and you can see that clearly, a difference in the way the bases are designed. This may have been done to ease manufacturing or improve reliability. I really could not find the reason why this was done. So in reality, the 9mm Parabellum is a shortened 7.65 by 21mm Parabellum with the mouth open to 9mm with a modification to the base of the case. It was designed for the Luger pistol, as the German military wanted a larger bullet with more energy delivered on target. The two cartridges are close enough that you can convert a Luger from 7.65 by 21mm Parabellum to 9mm Luger with just a barrel change. The same magazine works for both. The 9mm Luger was originally loaded with a 124 grain truncated cone bullet. Currently, you can get 9mm Luger ammo in many bullet weights, the most common being the 115 grain, the 124 grain, and the 147 grain bullets. A common 124 grain bullet will have a muzzle velocity of about 1150 feet per second with 364 foot-pounds of energy. The 9mm really took off in popularity in the USA after the U.S. military adopted the Beretta M9 service pistol in 9x19mm NATO, and the advent of all the new Wonder 9 pistols that appeared at roughly that time. Today, it is the most common military and police cartridge used around the world, with no others even being a close second place. And now you know that the history of the 9mm goes back much farther than most people thought, and you can trace its lineage all the way back to the Patron 88 or M88 rifle cartridge. Once again, thank you for watching Fortress Alaska. I'm your host Dave. I hope you enjoyed this video and learned something, and now maybe you'll know a little bit more about the 9mm pistol cartridge and more about its development. Please look down below if you want to follow me on Facebook, and you can also find my Patreon link there. And once again, I hope you have a good day. Thank you.